let's officially kick off. So guys, what we'll do this evening is we will do our normal beautiful welcomes, centre us and bring us in. Fiona, over to you.
Yeah, kia ora. Kia ora tātou. We like to start all our sessions with a karakia, just as Meg said, to recognise that we all come from different spaces and places and busyness, and just to bring us into the space and focus on where we're at. So, ko te kawa o runga, ko te kawa o raro, ko te kawa ora, ko te kawa ora. I rongo e whakarihia ki runga, turuturu o whiti, whakamoa, kia tina, tina, huie, tae kia.
Awesome. Thank you, Fiona. Okay, so without further ado, we've got 3 of our awesome Academy EX staff members and potentially a new staff member joining us this evening. So without further ado, I'll give you a bit of background introduction and pass you through to members of my team. And then we can sort of move through our info presentation for our Master of Technological Futures this evening. So first up, I'm Megs, Megan, if you've seen me on email, but everyone calls me Megs. I am one of 2 outreach managers that sit across 130 staff here at Academy EX. Very proudly, we have 14 amazing programs, and my job really is to help people lift the lid, explore, figure out if our programs are right for you, how they might future-proof you, and how you might grow in ways that you haven't even imagined. My beautiful colleagues on here this evening, I've got Mason and Fiona. So Mason, I will hand over to you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do here at Academy EX, and then we'll move to Fiona.
Hello, my name is Mason. I'm the International Marketing Manager at Academy EX. Starting from this year, we are starting to recruit international students and trying to build relationships with agency, with different markets to recruit students with like-minded students so that we can get together and learn and future-proof, as Max said, about future-proof our future. Thank you. Over to you, Fiona.
Excellent. Yeah, kia ora. Look, Fiona Pond. I'm driving the Zoom today, so if I'm looking away from you, it's because I'm looking at the other screen as I multitask, which is something we do a lot of here at Tech Futures Lab, because it's all about innovating, creating new information and finding new things to do, and yeah, different ways to put them together. So look, my role is Programs Lead. I oversee a number of our programs, including this wonderful program, the Masters of Technological Futures, which is our flagship program. So we're very proud of it. We think it's a fantastic program, and we're going to run through a few of the details as to why we think that. But look, yeah, love working here, and yeah, love working with our students. So look, if there's anything you ever need from me at any point, do feel free to shout out. Back to you, Megs.
Amazing, thanks, guys. So as Mason said, we support students in a domestic context here in New Zealand, throughout Australasia, but also internationally. And as we grow and we get more and more inquiries coming in from around the world, it's our job to respond to those, be it by email, by LinkedIn, by phone, and really to help people make the right decision for them, understand what they're getting into, make sure they understand how our different programs can benefit them. So knowledge, confidence, leadership, connection. So tonight we're going to focus on Master of Technological Futures. So I guess where we're going to take you through the program details, a little bit about what outputs and what sort of learnings you can take away from this, what projects you can bring, or really, if you don't want to bring anything, but you really just want to get some knowledge and some layers to your decision-making skills, that's okay too. So that's what we're going to move through this evening. We've got questions at the end, and then really, if you've got anything that's burning for you that you'd like to know, you'd like to put to us, what kind of students we're looking for, what outputs we've worked on, how long we've been running, anything like that, feel free to post some questions to us in the chat, and we'll work through those at the end. How am I going, Fiona? Anything I've missed?
No, great. Look, we have prepared some slides, some content, but also really happy just to go wherever you guys need to go. So if you have a particular question you want to know, or anything you want us to dig a bit deeper into, just feel free to pop something in the chat, come off mute, and just tell us if you want to dig into some more detail for things. But yeah, this is really just the beginning of a conversation, hopefully, and we're happy to pick it up at any given point. What we might do just to kick off is play a little video, which can tell you probably more succinctly and with some beautiful imagery around what we do here at Tech Futures Lab. As a professional, continuous learning is essential for staying relevant, informed, and on top of your game. Tech Futures Lab at Academy EX is a graduate faculty for professionals, where experts provide in-depth contemporary insights and deeper understanding on the changing levers of our time. We embrace disruptive technologies, digital transformation, and data, from AI, AR, and VR to automation and IoT. Our programs are part-time, either online or a blend of online and in-person to cater for busy professionals. Whether you are in New Zealand or across the world, let us be part of your future.
The speed of change in our world is like nothing we've seen before. Every sector is being impacted by the rise of new technologies and digitalisation. Our answer to staying ahead of these changes is Tech Futures Lab at Academy EX. Over the years, we've been helping executives, entrepreneurs, developers, and community leaders create future-fit solutions that leverage our collective technological future. Here, you can learn about emerging technologies, tools, business models, and considerations that help you make decisions about the future. You'll learn about changing economic models that rethink ways we can design differently for better.
You don't need to be techie to learn with Tech Futures Lab. You just need to be curious about how you can make the most of the changing world. If you're ready to explore the possibilities that technology creates, join us for a chat, an event, or an online session as you find out how to build the next step in your career. As a professional, continuous learning... I won't make you sit through that. Right?
It's a cool video though. Touches on some good things.
Yeah, look, and the key thing that you would have picked up there and is at the heart of Masters Technological Future is we are living in a world of accelerating change. We don't know what the uncertainty lies around the future. So how do we build those skills to start to address some of those really big challenges that we're all facing? And we certainly don't expect you to have the answers as you come in, but we hope that by the time you leave us, you're well on your way to solving some of those pretty challenging, gnarly questions. Just a little bit here about, so we've been operating since 2016, coming up to our we are in our seventh year with almost 200 graduates now. So that's 200 Masters of Technological Futures out in the world, doing amazing things. And it really is driven by that understanding that technology is part of the solution to the problems we face. And the common denominator for our people is really that driving positive change and that ability to make social impact through technology. And we haven't just come up with this ourselves, as it says there, design and consultation with industry, delivered by leading technological experts. We're having to work pretty fast to keep our program current. As you'll know from just the recent artificial intelligence gains, the world is changing even quicker than we thought 6 months ago. So look, how we keep up with that is we draw on our extensive networks of industry experts to bring that knowledge in with us. This combination here that we've got of hindsight, so understanding what's gone before, looking back, plus insight. What is it around knowledge and new things that we can pick up to help us really foresight into that future? Anything to add there, Megs?
No, I would just say that what you learn today is what you apply tomorrow. So the reason that, adults come to us to learn in their professional context, and everyone's different. So everyone brings their career, their skill set, their history from these vast range of sectors and industries. And what's really cool is we get to see that being unpacked within our walls. The ideas that come to life, it's really about saying, how could we use technology for good? How could we apply it in their own context? So that's for me really exciting when we talk to people and they say, well, why you guys, what do you do? What's this all about? I've heard about you from X person. And I think it's important to sort of understand that more so than ever, what you learn will have an impact in the future. Why? So why Master of Technological Futures? I guess there's a couple of reasons, and probably the strongest ones here is you get to explore, you get to use this as that safe space to put your theories to practice, to test your methodologies, to innovate, to solve problems, to look at problems differently, use the technology to cut corners, to make it more cost efficient for your bottom line, to drive a competitive edge. use technology for good to drive positive change and impact. You get to work on real world problems. So any hours that you do within our master's environment that are your working day are counted as the same. This isn't on top of your day job. This is alongside as an extension of your world. You get to collaborate with the most amazing people. You get to meet new people. There's a whole new black book that comes with this world. You get to enhance your critical thinking, your creativity, the way in which you look and view at the world, at solutions, at problems. The network goes far beyond us. Even when you've finished your master's, you're still able to reach out to someone that you may have met that came in for a presentation, and just sort of reach out and say, hey, look, I met you when I was doing my master's. Any chance we can have a coffee? I've brought that project to life. I'd like your advice and input. So that network that surrounds our students, our organisation, our alumni is amazing. We are internationally recognised, and so this particular program globally and domestically is a level 9 NZQA master's degree. But on the world stage, people understand that this master's with a technological bend to it is really relevant in today's practice. Anything you want to add, Fiona?
No, just that I love that at the bottom of the list is the level 9 master's qualification, because yep, that's a fabulous thing, and it is partly why people come to our programs, but actually what we always find is what's more valuable to them at the end of the program is this amazing project they walk away with, and we'll look a little bit more at that later. So look, who is Masters of Technological Futures for? And really, yeah, the key thing to take away from this slide is it's for anyone and for everyone. So yes, professionals, practitioners, leaders, emerging leaders who want to boost or change their career. Perhaps they want to keep working internally, but want to find a new angle to add in that space. Or maybe they want to start a new business for themselves, develop a product or framework. So all these people keen to come to our program and find new ways of moving forward into this unknown future. The key denominator is really that understanding that technology is a key factor to driving that change that they want to make, be it an entrepreneurship or an external new product, recognizing that existing problems need new solutions. And what I love here, just if you look at the right hand side there, is it can work across a diverse range of industries and sectors. So what we've got there is a list of our current or our most recent cohort, is a list of the different backgrounds that all our different students came from. And I think that's quite remarkable that we really are a multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary program when experts from these different spaces can gravitate towards one program, and we can make it work for them. I think it's worth just spending a little bit of time thinking about how we make it work for such a diverse group. And it really is the process that we work people through. So there's a couple of things, and we call it the 4 C's. So one is that curiosity. You have to be curious. You have to believe that there's a different way of doing things. And I think all of our students have that in common. They're here because they want to make a difference. They see there's a need for change. So then what we do is we take that curiosity and we expose it to a whole lot of different content. So like I was saying before, we bring in different industry experts to share their knowledge with us on different hard technology. So yes, we'll learn about blockchain, virtual reality, Internet of Things, but also different ways of doing things. So disruptive models of thinking and working. This could be design thinking, systems thinking, kaupapa Māori, sustainability. All this content, we kind of, wouldn't say we shower on you, but we share with you. And what we ask for you is that you reflect it back into your own space, because this piece about context, that's really key. So each time you're learning about a new technology, just thinking about, how does this help me? How will this solve a problem that I'm facing? What does this mean for me and my workplace? And the key there is we really do understand that you know your space better than anybody else. You know the problems that exist, the opportunities that are there. So bringing you into this story is key. And then community, Meg's touched on it before. This incredible community of people also interested in the same things that you are, about curiosity and the desire to make a change. And it won't just be those that are in your immediate cohort, but we also introduce you to those that have gone before, alumni, others that are further along the program, and into our broader Academy ex whānau. So look, huge opportunity to build a network there, and you'll really need that. Enjoy that experience, the diverse experience you can learn from. So remember that, the 4 C's, that's how we can make such a diverse group each come through and deliver such incredibly different projects. I did just throw this together this afternoon, but I think it's a good example of the different types of research areas and projects that our students can develop. So as I said, everyone coming in from a different space, the piece that's in common for them is this looking through an emerging disruptive technology lens into their space and understanding how it can help them solve problems. So you can see the different spaces that our students are tackling: vertical farming, energy hardship, language revitalization, mental health, aging, funeral processes. So just incredible what project is possible through this program. And the key is, again, the emerging disruptive technologies. When you see EDT, that's what we're talking about. So people are looking about how you can apply VR tools to language revitalization. The storytelling in the New Zealand wine industry, they're exploring how we could use the metaverse to share the New Zealand story. How to make healthy soil, so using Internet of Things, sensors, how do you connect those to give you the information to make sure that your soil is doing all it can to grow your crop. So absolutely anything is possible through this program. That's just a small example of some of the things in the areas our students have tackled. So look, I'm going to play another little video here, and when we come back, just stop and ask if anyone has any questions. So look, just think of those questions while we play this video. As much as we can tell you how great we think our program is, really our students say it better.
My name is Rafiq Moses, and this is my journey. I was never really into school. I barely finished high school, and I was never really much of an academic. After high school, I worked a few jobs, and then I joined the Armed Forces at 23. Military training helped develop my leadership and management skills and encouraged me to maintain a healthy mind and body. This is the sort of locker that I had when I first joined on the old ship Canterbury, and this is where I slept, on a bunk like that. After 21 years in uniform deploying on ships, I realised there was much more to the world. I had the opportunity to complete the Warrant Officer Development course, where for the first time in my career, I had to complete academic writing. A few weeks later, I ran into the professor who marked my papers, and he was impressed with the way I think differently and said my writing style was great. He asked me if I'd ever thought about studying. I said no, and he said, "You should." That planted the seed to really explore the world of academia, which I'd always thought I didn't belong in. Shortly after that course, I completed the Lead Systems course, which focused on systems thinking and personality traits. This self-reflection really cemented my desire to complete tertiary study. I started off looking at a range of options with recognised prior learning, realising the effort to have my real-world experience recognised was almost like a master's itself. I became interested in MBA programs, but realised these programs may not fit my overall plan, especially since I doubted my academic ability, having never completed tertiary study. MBA programs seemed appropriate. I spoke with a work colleague who asked about my goals and interests, and he told me about the Tech Futures Lab, so I checked them out. I quickly recognised this was the perfect program for me. I signed up for the Master of Technological Futures course, and I loved it. I especially loved the real-world experience that it provided. I soon learned that I had all of the academic skills needed to succeed, kind of implanted into me by the New Zealand Defence Force training and experience. The Tech Futures Lab approach really allowed me to access abilities I didn't even realise were there. The course has built my confidence and allowed me to work at a higher level of understanding than I thought possible. During study, I had the confidence to take up an opportunity to leave the job I've had for 21 years. I'm still working in Defence Force, but now as a continual improvement and innovation manager, which gives me the opportunity to share my experience, tools, and a framework to equip those who want to change the system. It's crazy to think that I've gone from someone who avoided academics to someone who wanted to be a lifelong learner and use the ever-changing aspects of technology to unlock human potential and change the world.
I love that story of Rafiq. It's such a cool one that he thought he didn't know if it was right for him. We spent a lot of time, didn't we, sort of working through his questions, reassuring them that there was no right answer, that this journey could be anything he wanted it to be and in any way he wanted it to look like. And I think that's the really cool thing about particularly this master program, is your students tell us what they'd like to do, and if they don't know, that's part of the discovery, is that these aha moments happen throughout the course, throughout the program, and it's really recording those aha moments and then working up some knowledge, some foundations. And Fiona and the rest of our amazing team really support people to grow in ways that you'd never really imagine themselves, is what they kind of tell me when I ring them 18 months later. But yeah, so that's a fantastic story from Rafiq, and if you'd ever like to speak to him, we can arrange it.
So look, before we get on, dig into the detail around program structure, etc. Are there any questions at this stage?
Pramod, you don't have any questions for us? Carrie? It's all good, guys.
Yeah, actually, I've actually been in my profession for over 30 years now, and then I've had a gap of about 5 years. So I'm just thinking of like which way forwards really. I've just got a small assignment from my own profession for the time being, like, which is like a couple of weeks work. But then I really need to look into the future. So
figure out where to next.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking I'll probably just tune in to this one and see like whether there's anything I can take from this.
Yep. Well, it may surprise you, we actually have more people in a similar situation to yourself, that people come to us for different reasons, and I guess it's some people want to pivot their careers, they want to change sectors or industries, they want a complete change, they are looking to get back into the workforce after a break for different reasons, looking after family. There's different reasons. I think from the range of different people that I speak to, I think it's a healthy thing to take some time out and reflect and figure out where and what your next I guess life cycle of your career will look like. We know that people in New Zealand aren't retiring at 65, and that will continue. That's a trend that we've seen come out of demographics out of central government. And as the population ages, and as we change, and as people sort of try and figure out all this burnout for different reasons, I think it's important that if we're living longer, and money aside, that there's something to stimulate people's brains, the economy, conversations. You may have family that are in different industries or different sectors, and you can partake in conversations. You probably might make them sort of their jaws drop at the dinner table, and you said, so a GPT chat, I've tried it out. But it's just being able to understand and partake in conversations of what these new technologies are, what they mean for New Zealand, the excitement of what changes might be, but to understand the good, the bad, the ugly in your context, in your sector. So this is a perfect opportunity to get under the hood with us, ask some questions, have a dig around. You may find that this program is perfect for you. You might find another program. You might find that you might ask us to build a master's for you. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us this evening. And this particular program is our flagship one for a reason. 90% of students that come to us are referrals and recommendations, aren't they, Fiona? It's usually someone's heard about this particular program and they ring us to sort of clarify their understanding, and that what they've been told is accurate and true. Actually all of our students are working mums and dads, professionals, middle to senior New Zealand or globally in their roles, wherever they may sit around the world, around Australasia. So everyone's usually got that common thread of what could this look like for me? What will I get out of it? How will it work? So if we head into these slides, I'll hand back to Fiona and we can work through the program structure.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Megs, a lot of our students, as Meg said, come to us with not a clear idea of what it is that they want their contribution to be, the problem they want to solve. And some do, which is great. The process works for both, and how it works, and we'll dig into this as we move through these next few slides, is what we call immersion phase. So the first 20 weeks of the program, we also call play. So play is when you get to really explore the different technologies. We want you to stay in the problem space, and this can be quite challenging for some people, but not to leap to that solution or an answer, but just to open yourself up to learning about all the new technologies, all the new disruptive business models and ways of doing things, and try and let a problem kind of emerge, I guess. And by doing that process, you don't necessarily have to come in with a fixed idea, but at the end of that 20 weeks, we'll guide you through a process that you come away with a project plan that really resonates with you. You've identified an opportunity that you want to move on, and we've helped you build that project plan to move into project phase. So whether you've got a project or not, I guess is what I'm saying, we can help you take it to that next level. So in terms of the structure and way it works, and this is based on our upcoming June intake, immersion phase, 20 weeks. And on Fridays, we'll be running all-day sessions for across those 20 weeks. 5 of those will be on site at our lab here in Grafton. But if you can't make it on site, no problem. We are very well versed at doing hybrid now. So we would certainly be able to zoom you into that space. But and then the other 15 are optional. There will always be a space for people in the lab if they want to come in and join us, but just as equally, you can join online. But there's 5 that we try and shape up to be face-to-face, because that cohort experience is quite important. Supporting those weekly sessions, we also have Converge, which is a fortnightly morning session. It's optional, but it's good fun. More of an informal space where people come together and critically discuss, engage with some of the challenges that we're kind of finding in this emerging out of this rapidly changing world. But it's also a place that our students can come and present their ideas, their early project thinking, and get some wonderfully supportive feedback from our broader Academy X community. Mahi Tahi is another drop-in session that we have there on Tuesdays to offer additional support. And then outside of that, in the immersion phase, obviously, you'd be expected to do some of your own self-managed learning, and I think Meg's alluded to this before. That can include working in your own workspace and trying to understand that problem, engaging with stakeholders, things that you might be doing anyway, counts towards those allocations. But yeah, that self-managed learning, some weeks there won't be much, but then some weeks you might have hit a topic that you're suddenly fascinated in, and you'll decide that you want to spend a lot of time diving down rabbit holes, deep diving into that particular technology. And then block sessions, once you move out of immersion phase. So immersion phase is forming up that project plan. Once you're into project phase and starting to execute that plan, there'll be less self-directed time from us. It'll be more about you and your advisor, and they're a key person, I should mention, helping you roll out that project, actually implement that project, which can run from 12 to 18 months, depending if you're looking at a part-time or full-time option. So yeah, advisors, we have, there's wonderful people that we assign to you quite early on in the process, and they are basically your guide on the side. So they have 2 hats. One is they'll have an expertise in one of our varied areas of technology. So they could be a blockchain expert, they could be a design thinking expert, they could be a innovation expert, but they'll also be really familiar with our program, and they'll coach you through the learning side of it. So you'll be meeting with them fortnightly and having that support, but also expertise to guide you through your project formulation. And while you have one primary advisor, you also have access to the whole team. So at the moment, we've got about 15 across different specialties. And at any point, if you need to know a little bit more about virtual reality or connected environments, Internet of Things, we can make that happen for you. So at very high level, there's more to unpack here, and we can do that at a later date if this looks of interest to you. Often what people are interested in, though, is what we call assessment, or how we measure your learning, really, or how we understand your learning journey. Immersion phase has 4 assessments, and if we could rename them, we'd probably call them milestones. We'd move away from that assessment word, but it really is just helping you shape up your project plan. So it's a scaffolded process. The first assessment is really about understanding you, your background, everything that you bring into the space. And then the second one builds on that. So in your space, what problems or opportunities might you have identified, and what evidence can you find to support that? That moves on to, if you've identified your problem, how might you go about further researching it? What methodology and ethics might you need to consider? And then by assessment 4, the end of immersion phase, you pull that all together and you've got this fabulously robust project plan that takes you into project phase. And project phase is the do. So now you have to implement and execute your project. And as I said before, less directed time from us, but absolutely supported by us and of course your advisor. And in terms of content, and we do say this is indicative because as I mentioned earlier, change is happening quickly around us, and some things that were emerging are not so emerging now, and some things are coming at us faster than we can almost keep up. So 3 pillars here: emerging disruptive technologies, and that's more of your hard tech, the blockchains, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, robotics, virtual augmented realities. We'll cover all those things, and then additional to those is if we've got shifting demographics and societal changes, what does that mean for business models? So what are the shifting customer preferences that we need to be thinking about, and how does that impact how we deliver services? So business disruption, but also thinking about different ways of leadership, sustainability, other societal trends that are shaping how we do business. And then of course, what are the skills that you yourself will need to build, the softer skills to help pull all this together. So new and different ways of collaborating, design thinking, systems thinking, kaupapa Māori, storytelling, all these different things you can imagine. If you combine all those together, keep reflecting back into your own context, that's how you'll come up with a pretty impressive idea and project to solve. Underpinning all of those down below there, project sessions. So obviously these projects have to have academic rigor. We make sure you have the tools to do that. And insight and inspirations. We love bringing back in the alumni or sharing different case studies, or people doing exciting things out in industry to come share their knowledge with you. Also a key part of the curriculum too is what we call our quarterly briefings. As a student at Academy X, you get access to any of the events that we're doing. So these are France Valentine, our CEO, does these incredible quarterly briefings where she does a wrap on what's been happening in the last quarter in the world of technology and broader demographics and societal changes. So always fascinating those, and many conversations to fall out of those. So look, yes, we could dig deeper into this, but at a high level, just know that we cover a lot of really interesting stuff. Some will be more interesting to you than others, and that's fine. You get to shape your own, I guess, curriculum in a sense, because you'll find the threads that you want to follow into more depth. Megs, I'll hand back to you for this one.
Oh, okay. So I often get asked on a lot, actually, on a daily basis, what do you need to apply to this particular master's? What is it that we consider entry? So this program is sitting at level 9, as Fiona alluded to earlier. What we're looking for is career skill sets, experience, knowledge, or as a recognised bachelor's degree, level 7, so diploma and higher. So we're looking for a little bit of industry experience that you can say, hey, I've got experience in these industries. This is my professional development that I've done in the past. This is where my career has got to. So that we can sort of say, yes, you're going to grow here. You're going to absolutely nail it. You're going to prosper. You're going to grow in ways that you hadn't imagined. But for us coming into that level, we either use someone's CV, their career to date, their industry experience, their knowledge, their background, so bringing their authentic self to us, or entry can be gained by having that degree, even diplomas or higher, and some industry experience. So we've got sort of a wide range that we want to make sure that education, higher education, is accessible for everybody. Next slide, please, Fiona.
Nice.
Okay, so up and coming intakes for MTF. So we abbreviate our Master of Technological Futures to MTF if you hear us talk about us like that. So for the June intake, as Fiona alluded to, we've got weekly delivered blocks. So that's on a Friday from 9 to 4. It is the same experience whether you're in the lab or you're joining us online. So we make sure that international students are well supported, and that you feel like you're part of the cohort and you know your neighbour sitting next to you, and because you're sharing quite often some quite sort of personal goals or aspirations. You might have been sitting on an idea for the last 10 years or the last sort of 5 months, and you think, I really want to bring this to life. How am I going to do it? Some people are really just engaged by other people's feedback or someone's experience, and it might just be a light bulb moment that someone goes, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. So the next start date for June, we officially kick off is the 30th of June. And then we've got further intakes coming later in the year, which is October. So for June, start off on June 30th. Our face-to-face sessions in the lab will be July 28th, 25th of August, 6th of October, and November 3. So we have those dates locked into our diaries, usually 6 months in advance, that we can tell you that these will be the dates. If you can't make it or can't fly out from different places around New Zealand, or it's too far to drive from Tauranga because you've got something going on at home or in the office, that's okay. We kind of just work in with you that we can support you whichever way you'd like to be part of the cohort. So for October, slightly different. We have 5 monthly resident blocks. So the opening weekend is a 3-day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we usually stick to that 9 to 4. Quite often the cohorts will go out for dinner, I'm aware of afterwards, don't know, Fiona, or there's usually group coffees and things like that. So the residency dates on that side for October kick off on the 19th, 20th and 21st of October. So it's really just thinking, how would it suit your diary? How would it suit family, other commitments, sport, church, whatever you've got going on in your life, as to which intake would suit you best. But for the purposes of this evening, we've focused on June.
Cool, thanks, Megs. Do you want to speak to this, my son, or pick this up later?
Yeah. Hello. So I saw that like New Zealand Connection is here. They're one of our agents, and I just want to put this up because to let people know, aware about the international fees and the pathway working with us, studying with us. Max mentioned about different residential sort of blocks in our headquarters in Auckland. For the international student, we will work case by case with you, because you may have chosen different pathways to really want to stay here in New Zealand, or want to get the qualification and back to your country to contribute to your industry. So we will work with you on a personalized level. So the next one would be echo of the entry requirements. So on top of what Matt says about the domestic students entry requirements, for international students, we do have an additional requirement for English language ability. So it would be in IELTS 6.5 or all the papers at least 6 points. So this is all from me. So I will leave my contact details in the chat box so that people can contact me in the future to ask me more questions about visa applications and enrollment as an international student. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Mason.
So look, we've got one more video we might play you before we come back to see if there's any remaining questions. So perhaps watch this video and see if you've got anything else you'd like to know from us.
My name is Janet Chenery, and this is my journey. My career path has been diverse, to say the least. I left school at 17 after not being able to change my course of study, and after that I had to find a job. I filled out an application for Lloyd's of London Insurers, and my friend knew somebody at a bank, so I filled out an application for them too. I ended up getting both jobs, and I chose the bank because it was £100 more a year, and that was how my banking career started. Hi everybody. Glad you could all make it today. Hi Liz, Elwyn, Susan. Thanks for joining. Technology was evolving when I started. Eventually it was replacing my roles, so I moved into software consulting, and that's how my tech career began. And combining the two, I've been working in banking IT departments in the UK, Singapore and New Zealand for all of my life. And this is sort of pretty much the centre of our being, which is the family. Coming here from the UK, we have each other, and that's our family unit. There's an old saying that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over while expecting different results. There was also a way to describe how I was feeling in my work. I realised that I hadn't actually learned anything new in a number of years, and I really wanted to re-energise myself. I saw a colleague of mine had done a Masters of Technology Futures course at the Tech Futures Lab, and I was intrigued. This gave me an opportunity to combine my work experiences with upskilling. This was a big deal for me. I hadn't done any organised schooling since I was 17. I had a daughter who had just left university and a son that was just starting to go, and here I was in my 50s getting started. The support system I received was top-notch though. The modules were challenging in a good way, I really saw what I was capable of, and it built up my confidence. Now I've been able to break out of that cycle, and I feel confident in expressing my informed opinion on things now, being an active voice and a practitioner instead of a passive participant, which has made my work much more fulfilling. What are my goals now? Nothing major. I still want to change the world. I finished my Masters of Technological Futures degree and found that I was qualified for a job that didn't exist. So I'm now having to carve that role for myself. I've actually co-founded an industry forum that helps raise awareness about what's possible and how to achieve it. I'm also developing my new consultancy role, helping companies to adopt regulatory technology to solve their problems. So take it from this late 50s graduate. It's never too late to disrupt the status quo.
Pretty powerful, isn't it, when you get to create your own role because it doesn't exist. I always like that when I watch that video. Thank you, Fiona. Right. Any questions for us? Is anything we've missed? Anything you'd like us to touch on again? My details, that's me. So it's usually I'm usually the first one that comes through and says hi after expression of interest come through, but I'm not the last. So there's 130 behind me lining up to tell you how wonderful our students are and all the work that we do, and we have the most incredible and passionate team. So you've met Mason, you've met Fiona this evening, but there's so much to our world, and it's just so cool when we get to graduation and we see people just beaming with pride, with excitement at what they've achieved, and at any stage of their life, and it is a big deal to come back and do study, be it overseas that you're dipping your toes back into water, be it here in New Zealand, be it in Australia. We have students around the world. We've got one that recently has transitioned from New Zealand into Bali, and we support him out of another country. So to the lovely agents that had joined us this evening, having international students we're so excited, and we look forward to working with you in those areas. For our domestic students, if you can come into the lab and come and see us, we'd love that too. But sometimes life throws some curveballs, and we offer remote access, as I think Michael can attest to out of Dunedin. Cool. Fiona, anything I've missed? Mason, anything I've missed?
Fiona, do you think you can talk a bit more about the industry advisors that you just mentioned, and how does it work?
Yes, and I did have a slide with them, but I seem to have lost that. But yeah, look, we have, like I said before, about 15 different advisors that we partner with really closely, and who we've been working with for quite a long time. So as I said, they know our program really well. But they also are kept current by staying in industry and working in their respective professions. So the beauty about them is they bring all their expertise and really generously share it with our students. Whereas we can't keep the amount of knowledge that we teach on faculty. It would just be impossible. It'd have to be, it's not possible to keep current. So that's why we leverage these wonderful externals. So as I mentioned before, experts in artificial intelligence, you'll understand that that's a hot area at the moment. So we've introduced some new experts in that space, because all of our students now, well, many of them, most of their projects have an AI component, which if you think 18 months ago, that just wasn't the case. 18 months ago, artificial intelligence still felt quite distant and other, and perhaps it was more about the metaverse and virtual reality. But times have changed very quickly, and now artificial intelligence. So look, it gives us the ability to dial up our resources in that space. We've got these great networks of people out in industry. So I'm happy to share that list with anyone at any point of those that we have on advisory staff with us, but also speakers too. So we bring speakers in that might not necessarily be advisors to individual candidates, but again, experts in their spaces, and come and very generously share their knowledge. And as Meg's mentioned before, really open to connecting outside of the classroom too, sharing their expertise and sharing their networks, which is fabulous.
I think just adding to that, Fiona, I think one of the main benefits, Mason, this might be of interest to the international agents listening, is we often spot and hear trends before they are reported on and published, because those industry contacts have got their finger on the pulse southern, northern hemisphere, it doesn't really matter. We see and hear things coming. So then the debates and questions internally start to pick up on those topics and those trends. And we're like, well, what if that hit New Zealand? What could it look like? What if it hit Asia? What would that look like? And so we get a first-hand glimpse, and it's the latest and greatest. So when those projects are rolling out, we're already ahead of the curve, and it's practical and it's real world. And I guess this particular masters is one that you will get your hands dirty on, if I can say that, Fiona. It isn't one that you'll hang on the wall. And I think that's one of the huge benefits, is it makes it accessible to everybody to have, you know, layers to their decision-making skills, layers to their knowledge, can sit around a table and chat with colleagues about how could we use it here in this context, what would it mean? So everyone that comes in has this ability to reflect in their practice. And I think that, you know, that's probably top three, that it's current, it's cutting, it's forward, and it's practical.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, thanks. I think this is probably one of our uniquenesses, because when I talk to a lot of agents, having one-on-one match up with the industrial advisor would be very appealing, kind of like our journey to our international student.
Yeah, and what we
Amazing.
find too is
Yeah.
those advisor-student relationships actually turn into friendships, and the relationship continues beyond the program too, because the advisor is so invested emotionally and as well with the students' project, and they carry on a wonderful relationship beyond the program.
I think that's quite a New Zealand thing, isn't it? So, you know, even if you're coming in as a domestic student, and you know, you were sitting in Auckland or with Christchurch and Dunedin, you still have that. That's very New Zealand, and I think that's part of when you study here with us. There's culture that comes from us. Our whole organisation is underpinned by Kopa Māori values, so that connection, that friendship, that support network is incredibly strong with us.
Yeah, look, a lot of information tonight, but yeah, happy to talk to anyone at any point, both Megs and I, and yeah, just start to unpack some of these and personalise perhaps what it means a bit more for you if you're interested.
Any other questions? We've probably got 4 minutes to go. I think we're doing well, Fiona. We're on track this evening.
We could talk about this all
Don't let
day.
me loose very often. Pretty much. Pramod, is there any other questions you might have for us? Carrie, any questions?
May I know the requirement about the offshore international students and on-site one, onshore one? Yeah, is the requirement different or the same? Because I mentioned I recognize the fee is different. International on-site one is for 44,000 and offshore it's 28,000. Are there any difference about the requirement?
Fiona, do you want to speak to this?
Mason's coming off mute.
Yeah, it's me. The major difference is the GST. So yeah, and but I think and the entries requirements would be the same. So yeah, but I think for international students, you should be aware of the early bird discount close dates.
Yeah.
So it will be 2 months before the intake starts. So yeah, that's the same as the offshore student as well.
Okay, thank you.
So for New Zealand residents or citizens, the same thing. We have an early bird special that usually closes off, I think it's about 4 weeks out is when the close date, usually the 10% removes itself. And then, yeah, so that's probably the difference is if you're in New Zealand and you're studying and you're a New Zealand citizen or resident, then your fees apply for the domestic market. Internationally, we've got 3 different currencies and Mason's on hand to talk through any visa requirements. That makes sense? Good question. Anything else anyone would like to know? All right. I think if there's any further questions, Mason, Fiona and I are more than happy to chat through one-on-one with anyone. If you just want to chew the fat with us, ask more questions, have a think about this. There's no pressure. There's nothing that locks you into this. If you did want to just reach out, have a chat to Fiona one-on-one as to what projects or outputs could look like for you, or if you want to come through and just say, look, what does enrolment look like for me? So either way, but I think, Fiona, do you want to do our closing karakia this evening, and we'll let people head on off to their evenings?
Yeah, must be dinner time coming up. Yep, happy to do that. Thanks, Meeks. Kia tātou. Ka whakariea te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara. Kia turiki whakataha ai, kia turiki whakataha ai. Homie, huie, tai.
Tai, yeah.